Hi everybody. Supreme Court in India has made it very much valid and very much cleared this fact and has um, uh, brought this the the conscious conscience of the people that the vaccination cannot be forced on anybody because it's anyone's free will and their right to life when it comes to what they put inside their body. So nobody can force them to consume what another party likes. We cannot be forced upon. It's entirely our choice, it's entirely our call on the matter. Now, I have also been getting uh, case reports. I've been doing certain case studies myself, wherein I have seen that people who got vaccinated are having recurrent episodes of cold, flu, and influenza and all that stuff. They are. And that, and many asked me that after getting vaccinated, they're having this, they're having that. Initially I was thinking that maybe it's all psychological because there on internet there has been a lot of talk over the positives and the negatives of the vaccination, keeping in mind the side effects. So it was for me like I was not internalizing this ambiguity. But when I actually saw through my naked eyes that how many of my friends who were vaccinated, they in like 6 months or maybe 7 months succumbed to multiple organ failure. And there was the first thing that had happened in their body was inflammation. That was inflammatory syndrome, what we call as. So well, I am not trying to put the people who have already got vaccinated in any state of fear, because it's completely okay. But I'm on the side of uh, I'm on the side of the people who have actually not decided to take up any single dose of vaccine. And I'm also in ardent support of those people who have actually decided not to take any chemical inside their body just because it's just a pandemic. And if vaccination will keep on going at rampant like this, then there are high chances, that it may become an endemic. And I want to cover certain points today that I have gathered from Google and also a part of my studies and my analysis, my hypothesis. So, as a scientist, as a PhD in COPD, uh, pulmonary tuberculosis, I think I want to share certain very important facts before you so that you can actually think. I'm not saying just refrain from vaccination, but I'm saying that at least it will make you think that what you have put inside your body, and that you will not put, whether or not you will put this so called chemical coming out from the vaccine in your body. So it will give you a a kind of, it will work as a pointer, it will work as a guide, whatever I tell you, uh, that can really help you take a right decision before going for vaccination. And we can actually save a lot of people. You cannot always have this veil on your eyes all the time, just because doctors have been inoculated, because some scientists have been inoculated. So you just can't regurgitate it again and again that yes, you should go for vaccination. No, you're not blind. Your conscience is not dead. Before taking any chemical inside your body, think twice. When the genome of this virus hasn't been studied and hasn't even been uh, explicitly studied, then how can you, there are sequences, okay, the genomic sequences, and when they haven't been studied with that astuteness, with that accuracy, with that precision, how can these pharmaceutical companies come up with the vaccine that is so powerful, that is so miraculous, that corona won't happen? And at least if it happens, then it won't die. Such a paradox, such a contradictory, so much of contradiction these two statements have. Do you know any disease manifests itself in the form of symptoms? So if the symptoms are not coming, we will not say that the person is having any disease. Maybe the symptoms will come a little late, but if symptoms come, then we can say that the person is under a disease condition, pathological condition. And I don't know from where this term comes, asymptomatic carrier. What is asymptomatic carrier? There is nothing as asymptomatic carrier. There is only symptom and only the cure of the symptoms. Doctors are there to give treatments as per their protocols. They are there to execute what we researchers, scientists invent, discover, and find out. So, if doctors have taken the vaccine, it doesn't mean that you should also go and take the vaccine. Also, uh, the cold, the influenza, like this flu, this influenza, and everything, 30% of this flu is caused by rhinovirus. Okay, 20% of flu is caused by coronavirus. It's this mutant, this SARS-CoV-2, this mutant, because this virus it mutates at a very rapid rate, and it's this mutant that is detrimental, that is lethal, or that is actually causing morbidity, mortality. So we have to be very, very, very watchful and very aware. Now, I just want to emphasize on few other things. People say that if polio was eradicated, polio polio was like such a dangerous disease, and it got vanished. Yes, true. And also, I was telling about, I'll come to this polio thing, but before that, I was telling about the rhinovirus, the coronavirus, and then there is this other virus, that is this RSV virus. Okay, the RSV. And these viruses, normally the viruses that cause pandemic, they fall under influenza A, B, C, D. There are influenza viruses are classified into four categories: A, B, C, and D. The A ones are those that are actually responsible for causing the pandemics. Okay, so this SARS-CoV-2 and this the MERS, they all come under this nidovirus. Okay, the group of virus that is nidovirus. And I just don't understand that, yes, this mutant is actually like a monster, it's all right, but pandemic always comes in the form of a wave. And if you take proper precautions, if you use masks and sanitizers, they're always far 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 superior than any vaccine. So these, when it comes in waves, naturally, because you see, if you have any damped vibration, or if we consider there is friction, then any wave, it just the crest and troughs, they actually get go on decreasing. So like way, any pandemic, it uh, it just goes away, gradually and gradually, episodically, periodically. And these the pandemics, they the virulence of the virus or any pathogen, okay, because of which the pandemic has occurred, it actually gets on depreciating, because a lot of immunological memory develops. And natural immunity surpasses any form of immunity. So keeping these things in mind, I want to tell you a lot of things now. um, and I think you should pay a lot of attention to what I'm saying. Okay, now when we talk about symptomatic, then symptomatic is, it means only when a person is symptomatic, then the disease is being manifested through symptoms. Now when the disease is being manifested through symptoms, the person becomes very contagious. There is no such thing as being highly contagious here and nominally contagious here. It could be somewhere in between, somewhere in the middle, or it could be at the extreme. Okay, so if the person is asymptomatic, that means the disease is actually not there. Okay, if someone gets an rt-pcr as positive, it can be contraindicating, it can indicate corona, but then it won't indicate the mutant at all. For that, we are using this CRISPR gene technology. I think that would come, that would come in future, uh, to sequestrate this particular sequestrate the mutants, and this mutant from the coronavirus. Of course it's a coronavirus, but then from that mutant, from that virus, which is not that virulent, which is not that lethal. Okay, so people create havoc. Okay, I've got rt-pcr positive, oh my god, I've got coronavirus. Relax, you have always had this virus in you, but then not this mutant. Okay, so it also, there I've also heard like masks are very dangerous, don't use masks. Are you crazy? Masks are so important, and when people say that, oh, I'm feeling claustrophobic, I am feeling as though I'm being strangulated by wearing masks, this is all psychological. Instead, the air gets so much filtered that you get good amount of oxygen, and also the per unit volume concentration increases. Okay. Secondly, all over the internet, I find this thing as really ridiculous when they say that mRNA teaches our cells to make antibodies. Whom you are trying to fool? Is this mRNA some kind of tutor or what? How would other people who have no background of science would actually understand that what it means that mRNA teaches our cells? Anyway, so if vaccine was that effective, then no new mutant would have come. mutation would have stopped. Yes, mutation would have stopped. And also, the symptoms won't have come. That means the disease won't have occurred. That is called as a vaccine. If you compare it with polio vaccine, then it has actually curbed polio. There are no symptoms of polio in people. Okay? There are no symptoms. Either there will be polio or there will be disease, and there can be no disease without symptoms. So stop comparing it with polio vaccine. So uh, that I was talking about, that vaccine was effective, then no new mutant would have actually formed. Based on coding and gene expression, uh, and the already present mRNA could have curbed the virulence of the virus. Second, 90% of recent cases that have been reported are the ones where the vaccinated have been potential carriers with symptoms and have spread the virus under the illusion that because they are vaccinated, nothing can happen to them. Nothing can happen to them. And they cannot spread it to other people. Third, 87% of people have been reported to have high levels of compromised immunity with aggravated symptoms, continuous persistent cough, many viral infections. The reactogenicity has been really high caused by these vaccines. We don't need this L-histidine from Covishield. Why do we need that? And why do we adults don't need that much amount of L-histidine? We don't need antibodies to accumulate in our body just like that in clumps. We don't need, absolutely we don't need. Instead, it puts body under oxidative stress. ROS species are created. Fourth, for a pandemic, 80% of herd immunity needs to be achieved, and which has already been achieved. And also, go and check Google. And this is what more of the most of the scientists believe who are working as freelance scientists or doing freelance editing, that there is this herd immunity is basically a myth. Fifth, it's a clear cut genetic material. Definitely it is. It's a genetic material because these RNA vaccines, mRNA vaccines, these are DNA vaccines, they are genetic material. They are a gene therapy. They are synthesized in labs. That definitely has the potential to alter the DNA because there is no translation without transcription. The DNA has to transcribe to translate the MR to translate this the translation for the translation to occur via mRNA to produce a protein that encodes the viral protein here. In the case of vaccines, the spike protein. For a pandemic as this, the vaccinated are the reason for it. Why? Because it was they who were allowed to travel all over the world. So from where the Omicron came. And it's them who are roaming about fearlessly. Had this vaccine been effective, then people won't have suffered from any symptoms. Yes, symptoms won't have occurred at the first place. If 95% of protection is being done by masks, then what claims the effectiveness of vaccine? Many MRI reports on Google, yes, have suggested the massive havoc a single dose of vaccine causes. MIS, yes, liver, spleen, kidneys. Where is this, excuse me, where is where is this mRNA being degraded? How it's teaching cells? It's a plain redundant hypothesis. After vaccination, people are still succumbing to many infections that completely nullifies and puts to question the efficacy of the vaccine. With reported deaths in 6 months duration after taking the vaccine in healthy males and females, increases the duplicacy and redundancy of the vaccine, plus its detrimental nature when coupled with the existing pathogen, that is a virus here in this case. How can you choose to be an experimental animal? How can you choose? You are not an experimental animal. There is no scale whatsoever to measure immunity levels. Hence, it's all about hit and miss and consummation of a fake ideology that it has boosted your immunity to up till here. Up till here. The side effects are going to be slow, but certain. Definitely. Pandemic goes and vaccine has no relevance. DNA mRNA vaccines that I already pointed out, they are like gene therapy. Because I remember people were surviving even when many people, those who were unvaccinated in April 2021 outbreak, and they were completely healthy and they recovered pretty fast. Hence, it's all about natural immunity. If people that who were unvaccinated survived, isolated themselves, and were not contagious enough, then I think it's a natural immunity that is more important. The another point that I really feel it's full of ambiguity is like mRNA is delivered by a co-formulation of RNA encapsulated in lipid nanoparticles. That lipid nanoparticles that protect the RNA strands and keep their absorption and help in their absorption into the cells. Now the question is why you are putting these lipid nanoparticles? Why you are using this nano stuff here? You're putting the cells, you're putting the dendritic cells, you're putting the entire immunological memory under major confusion, conflict. I don't understand these filthy ideologies. The mRNA fragments are taken up by dendritic cells through phagocytosis. Now, if the dendritic cells are taking this external mRNA that has been synthesized in the lab by phagocytosis, I think those who are well versed with this term know that phagocytosis is meant for uh, engulfing any foreign material, foreign invader. So when the body is actually recognizing this mRNA as an invader, you have put body in a state of disastrous conflict and confusion. How would body react then? This is really weird. Also, the mRNA molecules are too large to cross the cell membrane by simple diffusion. They are also negatively charged. Of course, they're negatively charged cell membrane. The surface of the cell membrane that faces the mRNA molecules is also negatively charged. Hence, there is going to be an electrostatic repulsion. Again, putting the body in a sense of conflict. Body thinks that the body has the cells are because cells have memory. Each cell has memory. So a cell is a brain in itself. So the cell realizes that it's there some foreign material and they have to develop a parallel immunity against the induced immunity, and which can lead to many autoimmune diseases. Definitely it will. Why not? Patients, even vaccinated, they definitely do have high chances to mortality no matter how much booster dose is given, because if the natural immunity is going, because you see there has to be homeostasis. If the if the induced immunity is pretty high, which the body doesn't require, then of course the natural immunity has to compromise. The natural immunity has to go down. That is only how the balance has to be created inside the body. So when the natural immunity is going low, nothing can save the patient from the lethality of the mutant. Sometimes maybe this time the mutant is not that lethal because it's not causing that morbidity and mortality. But in maybe it can change into a very lethal mutant, because mutations occur pretty fast. There is no guarantee. If vaccine is an assessment that no matter how lethal the, this is what people are actually rhyming over and over. Okay, let me come to this point. If vaccine is an assessment that no matter how lethal the virus is, the patient won't die. Is death under your control? And is person's only survival depends on the external immunity provided by these chemicals? Answer me.